and that is the problem of complexity and the problem of time. These problems can be overcome by using an online app that's in the cloud. So I thought, well, given that the classroom is not a great place, I can take my class online, and our university did allow us to create some online classes, so that was allowable. And then why would I do this? Because I think it would make students learn better, easier to access the learning because they could participate in the RPG without having to be in a classroom. They would have more time, freedom. They could do it when they want to. It also helped me to have groups to work together. As I said, one of the biggest problems I ran into was if a group had 5 people in it and one person was absent or 2 people were absent, who can you punish? There's nothing you can really do. And the good students who came to class would end up being frustrated because, they came to class, but somebody else didn't come to class. What are you going to do? But what if these groups were all online and they could cooperate that way when they felt convenient, when they could schedule working together, allow them to take responsibility for having their group's efficiency go higher? So this really is all of the why. Now, the last why I think is a key point. The last why is, if I were to code this as a program using maybe, let's say, Python, not only would it be complex, and not only would it be difficult to code, the biggest problem would be debugging it. That is, it would have so many bugs that students would complain, and then it would be hard to fix. However, if I were to take a different approach and use Google Sheets, let's just call it a Google app. If I were to do that, would that work better? Well, from the student's perspective, it'd be easy to use because they all understand how to log in and use Google and Google Sheets. Creating it would be less difficult. It would be less hard because what I really need to do is spend time to make the interface look good. So the UI, the user interface. If I was to do this in Python, I have to write it on HTML and I have to make the code, address the variables, and it's getting complicated very quickly. But if I did it in Google, I can see what I'm doing. I can see I've got the text here. I can see I've got bold here. I can see I've got a picture here. It's easy to get feedback right away. It's also easy to quickly adjust if there's a problem. So the debugging is much easier to fix. If there's a problem with some number, I probably just need to fix some cell code. If I need to, if a number's wrong, maybe I just need to fix a query, and maybe I need to just change the select line. Well, if I'm in Python, I can also change that quickly. But in Google, I can just quickly find the cell where this information is and change right there. I can also have someone help me, so I can have some other people work with me who are not coders, and they can help me with the user interface and to quickly change things that are on the page. So that's the way I chose to go, by using Google, and I built it up step by step, making it more and more like a role-playing game. Now, how did I do this? This role-playing game with a large class size, usually over 100 students, no class time, all online in the cloud. How did I do it? Well, we're going to go back to what we've covered in our case study time and time again, over and over. We're basically working with 3 parts. One part is the database, which is a Google document which holds data, a form where users input data, and a user interface where users see the result. The database feeds information into the user interface. The user interface has a link. The link goes to a form. That link will be pre-filled. It will have information in it based on the UI. And then that form gets submitted and changes information in the database, which in turn updates the user interface. This cycle of these three basic parts. Now, of course, it gets, as we've learned, more complicated. You can have many tabs here, and the form can have complicated questions inside. There's many things you can do, but this is the basic outline. As we've covered in one of our case studies previously, if you're going to have people, users, and these users need to see different information, not the same information, then we end up having a little bit of a problem with this basic format. Because the user interface page here, everyone can just see the same thing. It cannot be customized for one individual user. It cannot be customized for one individual group. But what I want to do is a little bit different than that. I want to have a group of people pretending they're a company. And I want to have many groups. And these groups need to work on their own, apart from each other, and they need to keep information secret so that other groups don't see their secret information. So with that in mind, I need to follow what we did in another case study where we need to use the user interface, but not just one, but rather many. So we're going to have the user interface not be one file, but be many files. So if we have 4 groups, for example, then we're going to have 4 Google Docs that are the user interface. Now, of course, first we're going to go ahead and design one, kind of the master template. But then once we're done with the master template, we copy it, and then each group will have some identifying information somewhere in here. Probably there's going to be a tab. We're going to call the tab something like key. And then inside the key tab, you're going to say group 1. And then down here in this key, it's going to be group 2. And in this key, it's going to be group 3. And in this key, it's going to be group 4. And then when these pages look for information from the database, they're going to use a query and they're going to select where group equals the group number. So in this case, only give me group 4 information. So they're going to grab group 4 information and send it back here. And when this group sends in a form, the hyperlink is going to have group 4 inside of it. And then inside the form, it's going to complete group 4. And then this data is going to go into the database for group 4. And then group 4 will see the new information inside their user interface page. So we need to copy these after we've designed it well. So again, we make one, we test it, and then if it's working, we go ahead and copy more. If we need to change something, we're going to have to change it in each one of these documents, or we need to delete them and start all over again by creating a master template one and then copying them and then giving them to the groups. We also need to notify the group. So this group 1 over here, we need to say, hey, this is the URL, this is the address for your user interface. And this group here, you have a URL. And this group here, you have a URL. And they're all very different, and you have one. They're all going to be different. They're not going to be the same. We're going to tell them don't share. You keep yours private, and you keep yours private, and you keep yours private. You don't share them. They're separated. Okay, so that's the basic idea. It's the same as all of our case studies, only we've got the addition of multiple Google Docs for the user interface because we want to show different information to different people. In this case, different companies in the role-playing game, different groups. So that's how we're going to do it, which is similar to another case study that we had about collecting information for teaching assistants. Only this is a little bit more complicated and a bigger scale. So when we create this, we're going to follow the normal steps, which is the data creation, the user interface. We're going to have some logic. We're going to modify data that goes into the database and then loop back and see how that changes the user information. We're going to be using tools like the array formula, the query, the import range, the hyperlink, if logic, and some text and some date logic, some time logic, and then some data validation like drop-down menus. All of these are going to be used to make something super interesting. Now we can go ahead and build this. However, this one is really complicated and we don't have enough time to go over it in detail. What I would rather do is give you some inspiration. I want to show you what's possible. And in this way, you're going to say, hey, if Professor Woyton can do that, I can do something. Maybe you want to build a game, or maybe you want to collect some customer information or data, or maybe you want to give some feedback or interaction with your employees or your staff. Okay, so all of these things are possible and many, many more. So I want to show you how the game works, how the negotiation RPG works in the next few video clips. And from there, you can be inspired into what's possible. I'm not going to show you the underlying code because we've already looked at most of the code. And the key point to the code is that we're just reusing the same ideas over and over again. We're using all of these tools in our toolbox. There's not much else that we use. And we use the AI to help us understand, how can I use an array formula combined with a query, combined with an import range? How can I combine these together? And then we can also use the AI to test our formulas and see where we can improve them or where there's an error. AI is very helpful step by step. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the launch, and I can show you what the Google app page looks like for my negotiation RPG game.